have an intellectual understanding of the ceremonial process that we're going through and experiencing and activating within us, so that we really kind of understand the physiology, the chemistry that's kind of going on in the body, what the movements are facilitating, and then what the glands, the secretions are providing for us. And so that we recognize in working together with our physical, physiological self, the emotional and the spiritual all kind of come through. So we're really focusing on the fundamental part today. So some of you kind of know more Brother Keone in the ceremonial space. We won't be doing that today, but we will be doing a practice after we go through the data. And Kamea Nui is the essential thing. So it's going to be a core foundational practice where we're really focusing with the spine, so we can apply focus to the places that we are connecting with to activate, to bring the memory through, and ways that the cerebral spinal fluid and the secretions move through our system. And we're really going to try and fine tune so we can really feel what is taking place in the body. So we'll be doing that towards the end. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here with all of you today. So very excited to jump in, because the foundation is what builds a strong structure, right? So if we have all the pieces that we need, if there's like a nail missing or something from a house, someday that's going to fall down. So if we can really build it solid, and especially together as a community, only as we rise and bring everything together, it's solid. So at any point, if you do have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We will have a question time open at the end for any parts that you just need a little bit further for your mind to grasp. And this is going to be recorded, so it will be accessible later on YouTube. So if there's something that you missed, you can always come back to it and reference that. And let's see here. Yeah, so I'm Kelly. I'm on Moku Kiawe, and happened to come across Brother Keone almost 2 years ago now, and found a resonance. The speaking, the body movements, I'm sure the reason that all of us are here today, and have come into such memory of self and a resonance with these practices. And as I continue to break down these pieces into the fundamentals, into the core, it only further aligns me with a self that I know in here, not the self that I've been through my lifetime, but really something deep inside that's allowing that expression to be released. And so I'm here to show up and to commit to that further release of expression, to live in on authenticity and my sovereignty and my truth, and with integrity, to lead with that integrity so that we can, you know, live the life that we all want to here on this planet. So I'm super grateful to Brother Keone to have kind of what feels like a restart from a place that we ended in another timeline. And supposedly, you know, when it was kapu for women to be learning these practices, and now because of Brother Keone and his ike, his wisdom, his feminine guiding his masculine to end certain placements that were put on, so that all of us can activate and remember and have these practices to be our best us. So I'm super grateful to be here, and excited to introduce Brother Keone, who's going to take us through the fundamentals today. He's going to speak, you know how he goes, and it's going to come through. So just really let your body take it in. The mind's going to want to catch stuff, but like let your body take it, but also let your mind try and make the connections with your body as he goes through. And then you'll see as we add the Kamea Nui at the end, it's all going to kind of bring it together. So trust that place, and all yours, brother.
Mahalo. Thank you, Sister Kelly. First, before we do anything, and like I was saying, and Kelly was sharing too, this is going to be a more analytical exploration of ULU. So there's not going to be as much ceremony as we would do, and a lot of the protocol that's required for actual practices of ULU. But I do want us to do something that's very important. We're going to have to place ourselves here and now. Okay. So I want everyone to just take a look around your environment. Okay. Just look around your environment. Okay. What we're doing is we're determining that our immediate environment is not offering us imminent danger. Otherwise, we're in a projection. We need to place ourselves here now. So as we look around, and I'll speak for myself. When I look around, I see a beautiful sky outside my window. I see Molokai across. I see a beautiful painting that a dear friend of mine painted. I smell turmeric. I smell lime. Now, everything that I've observed, it does not put me in danger. My life is not in danger. This is really important that I make this distinction right now. So I tell myself I've observed my immediate environment and my life is not in danger. I have permission to be present. Okay, now let's take our right hand, place it on the heart space. Okay, this is the throne of our brother. This is the masculine throne, not here. Here, bring him home. Okay, now let's take a deep breath in through the nose and hold. Hold that breath and apply that oxygen right here in the heart space. Share breath with your brother because he almost suffocated. Let's be clear. Hold, hold, and exhale through the mouth. Allowing him to settle. Here in the heart space, I offer the mantra of our masculine. Pa vale pu'uvai. Open your heart wider. That's what we tell our brother. Pa vale pu'uvai. Open your heart wider. Thank you, brother, and I love you. Now let's take our sister, our left hand. Let's bring our sister to our sacral area. In Hawaiian, we call this na'o. Place the hand on the sacral area. Take a deep breath in through the nose and hold. Hold, applying that oxygen right there in the sacral. Let's share breath with our sister, Mawiliola, ea ea. She was almost buried. Let's be clear, she was almost buried. And deep exhale through the mouth. And notice this relief. This is relief. Removing from survival, defense, crisis, hysteria into relief and presence. We've just placed ourselves. You're present. Welcome. And if you repeat after me 3 times. Aloha mā. Aloha mā. Aloha mā. All right, mahalo. Thank you so much. Yeah, really important that we place ourselves, that we're present. You know, my tutu used to say that there's no safer place, there's no greater place, there's no more nourishing place than your now. The significant thing about a now in a world that is predominantly linear is that nothing else can locate your now. That's very significant. That's the safest place you can be. Nothing can locate your now. So place yourself. And you know, I recommend doing this, and I do this throughout my day, is in consistently placing myself, because projections come in and they want to tear me somewhere, someplace other than where I am now. So my name is Keone Hanalei. So good to be with all of you today, and thank you, Sister Kelly. Yeah, you know, what's unique about my mo'okuauhau, my lineage, is that we still have access It hasn't become severed and it hasn't become corrupted. So we have access to 1,017 generations, which spans 20,000 years. This is past the Neolithic era. This is into the Paleolithic era. And the 1,017th delegate, or I suppose I would be the 1,017th, right, Kelly? The first delegate goes by the name of Mahat, and that's the founder of our lineage, our Mo'okuauhau. And Mahat speaks of two things, and it's really the genesis and foundation of our lineage. And one is Pu'a Ehu Ehu, fern medicine, and many of you who follow me are super aware. I talk about it every day, of fern medicine. And the other is ULU. ULU, the breathing and movement practice of ULU, which is breathing and movement practice of the first civilizations. ULU, as far as we know, preserved in this lineage, it's how spirit light beings acclimated themselves into form. Because that transition is so incredibly shocking. You know, and the shock that you and I, that we have all experienced coming into a world of matter and form, it's caused something that we could not have predicted. It caused what's known as amnesia. Amnesia. So this phenomenal world, which so many of us wake up and think it's a burden, right? I want to escape. I want to leave. It's incredibly purposeful. It's incredibly meaningful. This is the world without error. We're all here for a very specific activation. Now, the word that I had us speak after we placed ourselves, ALOHA MΑ, is the pinnacle of the first civilization. And ALOHA MΑ is self-reflective love. Self-reflective love is our gateway back to memory. And my grandmother, she spoke and she said, I want to share with you the meaning of aloha. Okay. She says, aloha comes in 3 tiers. 1, we are face to face with the natural world. 2, we are face to face with one another. And 3, and most importantly, boy, we are face to face with ourselves. Memory. Remember. That's aloha ma, self-reflective love. Know yourself, love yourself, you will remember. Thus, you can make your activation and hala, as we say in the ancient language. Hala, it means to ascend, transcend. My purpose and meaning here in an animate world, in the human event, is accomplished. All right? The more and more that we make attempts to escape, to resent 3D or however it's put, and the less we see this as a phenomenal world to which we made the agreement to come and implement and honor an activation based upon the agreement that you wrote, that I wrote. And I always say, like, brah, yeah, it's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient. Perhaps it's a world where I'm not satisfied. It doesn't feel compatible. I want to be elsewhere. I want to go somewhere else. Okay, that's just called escape and avoidance, and that's not going to get us nowhere but reincarnation, as some people say, or as I like to say, the pathological. So remove yourself from the pathological. Go into aloha ma, self-reflective love. Be able to face yourself and everything you've created, all the identities that you've assigned to yourself. You're responsible. Resolve it. Resolve it. Give yourself permission. Love yourself back to source. Yeah. I'm equipped. I'm equipped. I'm not afraid, right? So now in the physiological body, okay, we have the iwi kuomo, the spinal cord. The spinal cord is perhaps the center of the physical expression known as the human body. Now, in the spinal cord, we carry something super mysterious and super unique. And this is really the context of what I want to speak of today. And it's called wat-eht. Just practice saying that with me. Notice how I said it. It's super important you say it just as I said it, okay? Practice with me. Wat-eht. Yeah. So that's called an eji in the ancient language, and they also have this in ancient Egyptian and the Mayan dialect. It's a propulsion when we speak. Now, in Mu culture, the eji, it's significant because what it does, when you apply the eji, it totally extinguishes everything that's come before. It demands that it is the center of focus. That's the power of language. And language is alchemy. It's the most ancient form of alchemy. Now, wat in the ancient language means alpha. Et in the ancient language means omega. So wat-eht, it's the collision. It's the consolidation of alpha and omega. Brah, that's in your spinal cord. That's in your spinal cord. Now, what the wat-eht is it's a rapid oscillation within the spinal cord. Now, when this rapid oscillation is so fast, so rapid, it's no longer linear. Now, this is a linear world. We all understand the linear, where we're looking at our clocks right now, right? There's places we gotta go, all this kind of shit. But when the oscillation is super, super quick, it turns into quantum. It is our return to our birthright, which is quantum. Here's something really significant about quantum, because quantum and the linear can coexist. Now, in quantum, we have something called quantum superposition. And quantum superposition means that I can simultaneously understand all probabilities, and within that field, simultaneously choose the most compatible one. Boom, boom, boom. Plants do this. This is how they receive light, and this is how they do the photosynthesis, is that they determine which is, of the whole field of probability, the most compatible for them. And within an instant, they are nourished. So plants still have this skill. We humans, we have become so confined to linear, so rigid, that we've lost our birthright of quantum. And this has a lot to do with our obsession of control. I need to control everything. I need to predict, right? I need to predict. Now, why am I going to have to predict and control? Well, it's because I deem that my life is in danger. Suspects are everywhere. Harm is everywhere. In order for me to preserve my life, and this is logical thinking, I'm not discrediting this at all. This is very logical. In order for me to determine and to preserve my life, I need to predict what's coming my way. However, just like we did when we first began this call, I paused. I finally just paused. I'm like, okay, we're going to remove ourselves from a projection. Where am I now? And what is my environment now? Okay, I looked around. Oh, there's danger. There's no danger anywhere. It's a projection. I'm already predicting harm. That's my fixation. This is very dangerous. This is a very dangerous type of existing, because it's not just imposed on myself. This is what I impose on my community. I'm infecting my community with survival and defense. So as a collective, we are obsessed with having to control everything. And thus the spinal cord, it's in a moratorium. it's not being honored. We can't just say, oh, turn on, please. Give me, give me, give me. No, we need to meet it. We need to be compatible with it. Now, as you may know, our DNA holds biological information. It's the genome, there's genes, it holds data to which we may resource. Now, keyword, we may resource. I'm not confined to it. It's a choice, it's options, okay? Now, that doesn't just go biologically. It is also a storehouse of spiritual memory. Why? Because in a world of form, spiritual memory, it needs something of matter, material, in order to be preserved in, so that it's compatible to this field that we're in. So it too resides in the DNA. Once the wat-eht, the oscillation, is determined, the spinal cord becomes friendly, it expands. That expansion is an activation of the DNA. It's like knocking on the door of the DNA. Say, remember, remember, okay? Ultimately, what this is, it's called radiance. It's my radiance. It's Kelly's radiance. It's your radiance. What a beautiful world when we can just all radiate. Right? And it's scary because, everyone has a lot to hide. If I'm secretive, if I'm ashamed, if I'm embarrassed, am I going to radiate? Fuck no. I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to be scrutinized. So I'm going to hide and I'm going to pick and choose what people can know about me. I'm going to pick and choose how I radiate. It doesn't work that way. The spinal cord, the wat-eht, does not respond to that. That's called a distortion. And the more and more that we compound that distortion, the more and more we weigh ourselves down, the density. This is the oscillation. Don't you love this? This is the oscillation. Maybe we'll wait here for a couple days. And then down again. It's very slow. As far as disclosure goes, there's nothing. That's why I need to rely on the exterior conditions to feed me narratives. I need to rely on the exterior conditions to determine my identity, to determine my role, and ultimately to tell me what my purpose is in life. That's not spiritually sound. It's not logically sound. And we have to come to this agreement right now. No. The exterior conditions does not get to determine my level of safety, my wholeness, my capacity to give and to receive love. I decide, and I'm gonna have to be courageous. I'm gonna have to be courageous to radiate. So let's go back to, do you have your diagram, everyone? Okay. Now, I want to talk about how this wat-eht works, okay? Now, at the very bottom of the spinal cord, we have the coccyx, the tailbone. In Hawaiian, we say huelo, huelo. Now, at the very tip of the coccyx, the very tip, it's a well. It's a well that holds fluid. Now, there's three components to this fluid, okay? One is the EV-vi, the cerebral spinal fluid, okay? Now, and I've spoken with many people that they consider the EV-vi, and I would agree, it feels good. But they argue that the EV-vi is the human essential oil. It is the human essential oil. There's your essence. So, the huelo is where the human essential oil, the EV-vi, mixes with two very unique fluids, okay? So follow me all the way back up to the brain chamber, lolo, brain chamber, okay? In the brain chamber, there are two glands that are incredibly significant. They're both called, in Hawaiian language, we call them loku'u, loku'u, One loku'u is called loku'u ula, and that's the pineal gland. The pineal gland. Now, the pineal gland secretes a substance that's golden, yellow, golden, and clear, okay? It's a fluid. And the other gland is called loku'u leke, and that's the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland secretes a liquid, a fluid, that's white and opaque. Now, my description of those fluids are very important, okay? Because one is feminine, one is masculine. Can you guess? If we're just talking about colors here, can you guess? Yeah, white, opaque, feminine, milk. Golden, clear, like the sun, right? Honey, okay? Moon and the sun. And this is really aligned with a lot of biblical teachings when they call this the land of milk and honey. Okay, in the brain chamber, the land of milk and honey. Make right, the land of milk and honey. Now, when those two fluids drip, they'll drip, okay? They'll drip down, all the way down. The iwi kuomo, the spinal cord, once they go to the huelo, the tailbone, that's where they mix with the cerebral spinal fluid, the EVI. That is the necessary ingredient, alchemy for the wat-eht. That's the fuel for the wat-eht. Now, I want to take us through this exploration of all the vertebrae. Now there's 33. Of course, I'm sure you're already like, many of you are like, yeah, that sounds familiar. 33 is like this sacred number. Through many cultures in the world, the first that I'll just share is that was the years of Christ. 33 years of Christ. 33 degrees of Freemasonry. The 33 deities in the Vedic culture. Okay, so every single vertebrae stores a specific memory, a specific power. Okay, now the cervical would be in our neck, mainly in our neck. Okay, so right here, and there's 7 vertebrae. Now, once again, we have this really auspicious number, 7, right? So 7, what's significant about the number 7, of course, we have the 7 days of the week, right? We have 7 denotes to magic. That's the letter or the number of magic. Now, cervical vertebrae in the culture is called the amakua, Now, amakua is our highest potential, and that's really the collapse of all identities. Okay? So, in that space of the 7 vertebrae of the amakua, it is coded our highest potentials. Now, it not just encompasses the neck. There's no vertebrae that goes into our brain glands and right above our head, but the amakua also encompasses the brain glands and what hovers right above the head, okay? Now, the thoracic, which would be like kind of in the middle of our spine, okay? Middle of the iwi kuomo. This is the uhane, and it's very masculine, heart-centered, livers, kidneys. It's all very functional. Now, there's 12 vertebrae here, 12 houses of expression, okay? There's 12 tasks, 12 actions. So this is a space of where there's a lot of doing. There's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of expansion. So uhane, the cervical, coded in the 12 of the cervical is just that, the innovation, the expansion, the doings, the work, okay? Now, all the way down, There are
Sorry,
actually,
can I just 12 thoracic?
yes, 12 thoracic. Yes. And so encompassing the bottom of our vertebrae, there's actually three, right? There's the lumbar, there's the sacral, and then there's the coccyx. All three of those are considered in the culture the unihipili. Okay, the unihipili, and that's feminine. And I always love this because, you know, it's really significant that the feminine is the one that fuses three. She's all about community. She's all about sharing. Okay, she's all about harmonizing. So we have the three, the sacral, the lumbar, and the coccyx, ruled by the feminine. Now that number comes to 14, and 14, let me see. Yeah. So 14, the number 14 represents change and sacrifice of change. And I want to say it like this, is that when you and I come into a world of form, it's the greatest sacrifice we can make to be placed in density. Not only to be placed in density, but to be placed in time and the recognition of time. And my tutu would always share, she says, you know, boy, that our spirit light bodies made the ultimate sacrifice when we agreed to time recognition. And so the feminine in the 14 of the unihipili, sacrifice, change, to offer the sacrifice, to be present, to be placed in order to rise and then to expand, to innovate, and then to come to the place where all identities collapse and we can hala. So it's a cycle, it's cyclical, okay? So let's shift back to the wat-eht. Okay, so once the drip occurs, pineal pituitary, okay, the milk and honey, once that drip makes its way all the way down, and super important for your body, your avatar, to be incredibly healthy, otherwise it will not drip. It will not drip, okay? Every vertebrae it passes as it's dripping down, it's a reaffirmation of memory, okay? It's like an activation of memory, right? Once it goes all the way down, it mixes with the EV-Vi. It is shot back up, and that's what we call the ALOHA. I don't think I put this on the index, yeah, Kelly. Anyway, I'm gonna type it. Okay, it's called the ALOHA, and it means the resurrection. Now it's resurrected back up. Now on the way down, the two independent fluids activated the memory. As it gets shot back up, it's the expansion of the memory. We call this disclosure, okay? Now, of course, in order for it to even be shot back up, we really have to be in a space of presence, or it will not resurrect itself, okay? It will just sort of evaporate. The fluid will evaporate. And that's like a reality for a lot of us. Now, it goes all the way back up, okay? It's resurrected in the ALOHA. It touches, again, to the pineal and the pituitary gland, okay? Now, the oscillation is really slow first, okay? Once we maintain this rhythm, once we maintain a healthy life, and healthy life doesn't just mean my physical body is well taken care of, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally, okay? That oscillation becomes more rapid, more rapid, more rapid, more rapid, more rapid. Remember, once it gets to the point of the wat-eht, it becomes quantum. The oscillation, you can no longer detect its motion. It's so fast and so rapid, it's a streamline. You're in quantum. Now, this is like the pinnacle of the wat-eht, is when it's that rapid, there is something really magical that happens. There is a pressure that is reapplied to your pineal gland. Now, for many of you who perhaps don't know, but our pineal gland is actually encased by tiny crystals, micro crystals, okay? When this pressure, the wat-eht, is reapplied, and it has to be quantum. The pressure has to be quantum, Otherwise, it's inconsistent. Okay, it has to be constant. Once it's applied to the pineal gland and those crystals, we enter what is known as the piezoelectric effect. Okay, now the piezoelectric effect is what incites organic human DMT. We experience this naturally without effort, birth and death. That doesn't mean that's the only time that we can experience that. Now, many people who say they had near-death experiences, what do they have? A rush of memory, right? My life flashes before my eyes. Okay, you're in disclosure. You're in disclosure. Now, for many of us, when we're born, and we forgot this, but we have a rush of our agreement. But then amnesia comes and just wipes it out. Okay, but at that time of birth, at the DMT, it is a disclosure of our agreement. It's like support saying, okay, we've entered. Now here's the template. Here's the template. And I have known, actually, not myself, unfortunately, but I have known people who have preserved that. And we know many of you are mothers, and there are suggestions of how best to bring the child in, right? Water births, how to make it as less traumatic as possible so the child preserves their memory. Okay, now I want to just also share with you several ways that many people have found it supportive to incite that drip, okay, or the kulu kulurut. Now, one is to fast when the moon is in your sun sign. And this is specific because when the moon is in your sun sign, there's a magnetic effect. Okay, it's unseen, but there's a magnetic effect that extracts the fluids. Okay, the ula and the leke extracts so that it can have its drip. And many people, I tell people, you don't have to do ULU to do the kulu kulurut, to do the drip. You can just live a healthy lifestyle and be a good person. Right, as simple as that. Just be good, kind, and you will incite the kulu kulurut, the drip. However, we use ULU and resource ULU because it will incite and support the wat-eht, the oscillation. So it has the ALOHA. ULU is very spinal cord centered. Okay, it's all about the flexing, the movement of the spinal cord, and specifically that of the simulation of the spiral. All right, the spinal cord remembers that. It remembers the spiral. That's where it feels most compatible to disclose. And there's many different movement practices around the world where the spiral, my favorite, Kelly and everyone, is the Turkish whirling dervishes. Yeah, how for hours they're spiraling and rapid. Okay, because they're expanding their spinal cord, the wat-eht. Yeah. Now, in that piezoelectric effect, when we secrete that natural DMT, in ULU we call that kulana, and that's for trance. That's when we go into trance. And trance oftentimes can be the most compatible way for us to receive memory once again, because otherwise, if we're in waking moment with receiving memory, it could blow our minds. We can go into psychosis, schizophrenia. So it's the body's way of making it most compatible, safe and secure for us to receive such incredible downloads of memory. So the DMT puts us into trance. We receive, the body receives, we code the body first, then the brain. Super important. The body must be coded first, okay? Then the brain logically applies it so that it's practical. But in a quantum field, there really is no room for practicality. Quantum is like, we don't need to be practical. We can be anything and everything. But at some point, we do have to transfer it, okay, through our brother, our masculine, apply logics. Why? So I'm effective. So I'm relatable here and now with my brothers and my sisters, so we can share. And oftentimes through sharing, this is how many of us will remember our agreement. We need witnesses. We need witnesses. And my embodiments need witnesses. I need references. Okay? Let me see what else I wanted to share with you all regarding this. You know what, Kelly? Actually, can anyone, if there's something, because I know I just went lightning speed through that, I'm just being ma of linear time. If there's anything that's really pressing for someone, can you just type it in the comments, in the chat? Or
I'm
Kelly,
just going to state that I'm having a little tech thing on my side, so I can't access the chat right now from either of my devices.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I haven't, if there has been questions, I haven't been accessing. Otherwise, if somebody wants to unmute and just ask.
Oh yeah. Well, someone just asked, Kira, did you mention all 3 ways to incite the drip? Well, like I was saying, one that's really magnetic in nature is to fast when the moon is in your sun sign. And I've tried this with Vedic and I've tried this with Tropical. Okay, and both I feel nourished. So every month I do fast when the moon is in my sun sign. Sometimes I'll alternate. I'll do the Vedic, and then, you know, Vedic for me is Capricorn, and then tropical for me is Aquarius. And like I was saying, it's a magnetic effect. It's a magnetic pull. It incites this extraction of the fluids. The fasting will last anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. Okay. Now, if you are versed in ULU, if you practice ULU, it is also the best time to do ULU. Like, it's almost like guaranteed kulana. You would just pass out. But your body, your spirit, it knows you so well, friends. It's not going to overwhelm you. Okay? It's not going to overwhelm you. And this is like something many people, when they ask me, and we go into ULU, especially when we go into the advanced ULU, the 5 hours, and people are a little afraid. I don't want to pass out. I don't want to, I don't want to go into trance. Just remember, the body, the spirit knows you. It's not going to harm you. It just wants for you to be nourished. It wants for you to remember. It's saying, you know what, this pathological, it's like, no, we've done this dance for some of us for lifetimes. And so we're going to have to just be courageous and do these very mysterious things that are going to support us, that are removed from control, right? I don't want to do the kulana because I don't know how I can control trance. Just remember, you are supported. Your spirit, your body, it knows you well. Okay. Oh, and then the other techniques is just to live healthy. And this means the body, okay? What are you consuming? What are you feeding the body? And then also on a spiritual, mental level, how are you being nourished? Friends, do you have the skill to clarify boundaries? Like, come on. Look where we are as a collective. Clarify your boundaries now. You must honor and respect yourself. There's no greater way to honor and respect yourself than to clarify boundaries and to let people know how they can nourish you and love you. Remember, friends, the only reason why my community, why my collective has made assumptions about me is because I've not been clear. There's no victim here. I'm accountable. Right? It's no one else's fault. It's because I've not been clear as far as how I'm nourished, how I can be loved, how I love, and also what harms me, what puts me in deprivation, because that needs to become my boundary. And once we do enter the space of my boundary, I don't isolate, I don't dissociate. I say, okay, we've met the plateau of my boundary. So I'm going to shift us. I'm equipped into nourishment. This is where I will show up and participate with you. Are you willing to? Do you have the capacity? If no, I will disengage. And in disengaging, I always say this, at any moment, should you nourish me and my nourishment, I will be here. And I love you. I do not abandon you. Okay? That's the trigger. It's called first trauma, separation. Anytime anyone feels rejected, big trips. Big trips. That's conflict right there. Okay? People are going to try to destroy you. So always follow up boundaries with, I do not abandon you. I've just been clear about how we can participate with one another. And then with the skill to receive that clarification from others. Can you share with me what nourishes you? How can I show up for you? Do you even know? A lot of us don't. Okay, so we're going to have to inspire one another by just doing it ourselves, embodying it ourselves, and thus inspire others to also make this big shift themselves. Okay, what are the repercussions of eating meat? I feel conflicted, like it's wrong, but I've done it my whole life. Okay, well, what is your body saying? Is your body saying, I want to eat meat? This is the big discord. We're not having conversations with our body. We're making impositions. And this is when I fast, okay? And sometimes I fast for a long time. I check in with my body and I'm asking my body, Kino, Avatar, are you hungry? And it says, no. Keone, you're in craving. I'm fine. You're in craving. Don't get those mixed up. I'm nourished. Maybe have a glass of water and I'd be so grateful. Thank you and I love you. So just tune in with the body. Some of us, we really need that primal support that meat can bring. Just also remember, if you are engaging in meat or eating sentient beings, where's the source coming from? If an animal, a sentient being, was killed in violence, you're eating violence. You know that, right? You're aware of that. Okay. If an animal is raised in captivity, is humiliated, is pumped full of synthetics, that's what you're eating. Now, every once in a while, I do eat deer meat, and I get it from Molokai, and I get it from Ohana, from families that I know do it ceremonially. So that animal offered itself as a sacrifice. Oh yes, I will most certainly take part in that ceremony, and thus support my primal. If that's what my body is saying, we need primal right now. Let's eat some meat. Okay. So as you can see, every step is a ceremony. Treat everything like a ceremony. Know everything super, super well. Thank you. I'm gonna save more questions because I really want us to allow Sister Kelly to take us into a little bit of a warm-up before we go into ULU. Sister?
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I would say sit comfortable if you can. If you're not maybe sitting on the floor, try sitting on the floor so that you have that base support. Or if you're kind of in a solid chair, it's a little bit harder if you're sitting like on the couch or kind of on your bed, but it's okay. But this just gives you access to be able to feel your spine. And I'm gonna just turn my thing here so you can see more of my body. So what we're really trying to do is keep our spine as straight as possible. So you can either put your hands, like if you want, palms up or palms down on your legs. I found that this position tends to work well for most of it. I do notice sometimes when we get into the Uhane Energy Center, I kind of go into Kulike because I can really feel where my spine is moving, because what we're really trying to do is we're going to go through the 3 energy centers in this Kameha Nui, and we're only going to be moving this center, and this center without movement of the other parts of the body. So we're really trying to find the focus in this place. So we're going to be starting with our essential in the foundation in Aumakua. So we're going to be focusing here in the cervical. So there's the 7 cervical vertebrae. And so what we're really focusing on in the neck right here in Aumakua, so this is like the Aumakua, so we're at the crescendo, the height of the being. And so in this statement, as Brother Keone reminds, is that it is. So it is. We are in the heightened state here. And so as we move through, we're gonna just be tilting and moving our neck. We're not moving our chest, our shoulders, our hips. So if you want to lay your palms, hands out on your knees. And what we're going to do is we're just going to take one nice deep breath. So we're going to inhale all the way into the body, all the way into the bottom of the belly, and just hold at the top for a moment. And then we're just going to exhale out the mouth and release all the way through before we move into our movements. And then we're just going to inhale one more time, inhaling, breathing all the way in. It is. And then exhaling, releasing all the way out. And so now in our Aumakua center, we're going to focus our attention to the left, as we start with the feminine, always affirming faith, always affirming innocence, always affirming safety. And so we're going to start with the left, and what we're going to do is just tilt just the head. If like your ear was going to touch your shoulder, just as far as you can, that's comfortable. And what you're going to notice is probably the stretch that you're feeling on the right, on the masculine side, but we don't want to pay attention to the stretch. We want to apply focus in the contracted side of the neck. So just bring your awareness and your energy into that left side where the transverse process of those vertebrae are connecting. And just take a nice inhale and just breathe into that contraction, affirming it is. You are safe. It is so. You are innocent. And then after the next exhale, we're just going to bring our head back up to center. And then inhaling. And then on the exhale, we're going to take our head to the right, into our brother, into the masculine. And again, focusing on the contracted side as we're applying focus to our innovation, to solution, in the form of it is. We already have it. The solutions are present. And just inhaling, focusing on that right side. And then exhaling, coming back straight up to center. And now just see if you can feel between both sides of the neck to feel the energy that's already starting to cultivate there. And then next we're going to take, so the a'i oi oi at the back of the head, is we're going to take the a'i oi oi and we're going to curl it back to meet the top of the thoracic, the 7th vertebra of the cervical. So we're just curling back so that chin is coming straight as possible without engaging the chest or the shoulders. And you're going to notice that stretch on the front of the neck, and remember to bring and apply focus to the back, to the spinous processes of the cervical spine kissing one another. And here to the back, we find and connect to memory. It is. The memory is present. It is here. And just take a nice deep inhale, holding at the top. And then open mouth, exhale. And then bringing your head back forward to the top. Just giving a slight little pause so you can feel the back open. And then on the next breath, what we're gonna do is we're gonna tuck our chin. So if you look at me here, we're not just gonna drop our chin down to our chest. What we wanna do is take our chin and we want to tuck and roll it down. So like if you imagine like the fern, the baby fern, when it's all curled up, you're gonna take your chin as if it's the inside and you're gonna curl your chin down into the neck. And as you curl forward, really focusing on the front of the neck. This is deliverance, exaltation. It is, we are delivered. We are accessing this place. So taking a breath and just applying focus that you are already delivered. And then coming back up to center. And now we're just gonna take a nice deep inhale. And when we inhale, we're gonna bring our inhalation into the cervical. So we're applying focus in the neck. So nice deep inhale, applying breath, feeling it in the cervical, holding it there. And then exhale, release all the way down. And now we're gonna add the na'u to this part of the Kamiya Nui. And so the na'u, the way that that works is we're gonna take a long inhale through the nose, applying a little bit of pressure of your tongue at the top of your mouth, so at the palate of your mouth. And on the exhale, we're gonna do a long exhale with sound. And so here in the amakua, in the neck, the sound is going to be E. So as we inhale, we'll exhale. I'll do it once through to show you. And as we exhale with the sound of E, really inhaling into the neck. And then when you're applying the sound, you should be feeling the sound coming right from your neck. So you should feel the vibration of the E sound in the neck. So it'll be something just like this. So you'll inhale, applying that pressure to the palate of the mouth, holding at the top, and then exhaling, sound of E, E. So when you're ready, go ahead, inhale, nice and deep as we'll do this all together. Holding that breath at the top, applying that oxygen, that focus into the throat, into your amakua. It is. And then exhaling with the sound of E, E. And even if you place your hand on the throat to feel that vibration happening through the throat, E, all the way down. And then just ume, pause for just a moment to just feel the expanded space, the activations, the collecting of memory that's happening in the cervical, in the amakua, which holds your thyroid, the vagus nerve. And then as we travel down, we're gonna come into uhane, into the heart center, into the thoracic, with the 12 thoracic. And so we're really gonna be focusing on just moving our thoracic. So not the neck, not the hips, straight, just small movements here. So now we'll take an inhale, and then exhale, we're gonna take our left shoulder, contract down just a bit. So it's like you just feel your armpit kind of contracting together so that your lat in your shoulder is kind of coming together. So it's not like this, because then we're moving the hip and everything else. We're just bringing it down. So you should notice a slight difference in the height of your shoulders. Almost as if you had like a ripe avocado in your armpit. You don't want to like bruise it, but you want to like hold it right there. So feeling that come together. Apply breath, inhaling, applying focus right there into the feminine, as our feminine reminds our brother, our uhane, that he is safe, that she holds him. And then coming back up to center and just taking a small breath at the top to feel the difference between the two sides. And now we're gonna go to the right, the masculine, to create balance there. And just ever so slightly bringing that left or right shoulder down, contracting in that armpit. So the thoracic cavity is contracting on the right side, expanded on the left. And as we come to brother, he's reaffirming his innovation, reaffirming that he has solutions, that he is. And then coming back up to center and taking a breath and just feeling both sides there. And now we're going to come into memory. So like we created this on the Amakua, we're creating that same feeling for the Uhane. So what we're going to do is just push our heart forward. So like we're pushing our heart towards each other, just a slight. So you're not doing this because then we're moving the hips. It's just a very slight pushing, expanding the heart forward. So you should feel a small decompression at the back of the heart. Taking a nice breath, applying focus to the back of the heart. It's where we collect memory of our brother. And then exhaling, coming back up to center. And then coming into deliverance of our brother, we're slightly just pressing back. So what you'll see here is like at my, my traps here and my clavicles are slightly going to come forward. So it's not this because we're not contracting the hip. We're just bringing this forward. So you're concaving your chest. So slight press of the chest back. And then focusing on the front of the chest, breathing right into that concave place. This is our deliverance, the exaltation of our brother. And then coming back up to center, just pause for a moment. Feel, see if you can notice the sensation of the drip coming down, feeling that space in the uhane, knowing that the heart holds the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen. The thoracic is encompassing all of these vital organs. He is protecting this space here. And so coming into the na'u for the thoracic is the sound of ah. So it'll be inhaling, pressing the tongue up to the top, holding at the top, and then releasing with sound of ah, ah. Just pausing, see if you feel that vibration. And then we're going to come down and drop into the unihilipili, into our reproductive area, into our bowl, our na'au. And so taking a breath, now what we're going to do in the contracting of this side, we're not bringing our shoulder down to our hip. We're literally just bringing, it's a very slight contraction, just bringing the hip closer to, like, almost like you're bringing the hip up to the bottom of the rib cage. And so you're just going to contract there. Some people might feel it kind of like you're bringing it all the way down into your glutes, into your butt muscle. You might feel your butt muscle kind of contract to kind of like push you up off the floor a little bit. It's ever so slight. We're just getting into the basic feeling of feeling the lumbar, the coccyx, all come together, the sacrum just meeting together ever so slightly. So just allowing that hip to kind of ever so slightly lift. And to breathe into that left side, into the feminine. So we're reaffirming for her safety, reaffirming for her innocence. She is safe. Taking a nice breath into that left side, focusing and applying attention on the contraction. And then coming back up to center, taking a breath, feeling the difference between the two sides. And then now coming to the right, to our masculine side in the unihilipili. And now go ahead and contract up the right side of your hip just ever so slightly. So no thoracics moving, no cervicals moving, just the lift of the right hip, the lumbar, the sacrum, and the coccyx, all trying to come together on the right side in contraction. The masculine reminding the feminine that he is there to provide solution, to provide innovation. He's holding her and supporting her in that. And then releasing that contraction, coming back to center. And now to come into memory, we're ever so slightly just going to tip forward, just tip our, so we're not going to dump because then we're using our thoracic. We're just ever so slightly, just let the hip tip forward. Very subtle. And taking a deep breath into that bowl there. This is our memory in the unihilipili, in our community, of our lumbar, our sacrum, and our coccyx, the huelo, the mixing bowl. When the kulukurut comes down all the way into that bottom to mix before it then ascends back up the spine. And then go ahead and coming back to center. And then we're now just going to take a breath and tip back, just ever so slight, not moving the thoracic or the cervical. Very subtle movement, just tilting back. So like you're pushing your sacrum towards what's behind you and almost kind of just ever so slightly tucking your coccyx underneath. So tucking your tailbone just slightly underneath you. And breathing into the contracted space, Sending your breath, applying focus there. See if you can feel the communication that's happening between that contracted state. And then coming back up to center. And just taking a nice deep inhale into the unihilipili, sending all that breath right into that center. Hold at the top. See if you can feel the drip entering into the huelo, into the bottom, the very tip of that coccyx. And exhaling, releasing out the mouth. And since the unihilipili is all about community, we have two sounds for our na'u. So we're gonna merge them, blend them, fuse them together the same way that the coccyx, the sacrum, and the lumbar all come together. So the sounds are oo and o. So what that will sound like, because we're gonna fuse it together, so when we inhale, it'll be so breathing in, nice big inhale, sending all that oxygen, all that focus into the unihilipili, inhaling, holding at the top as you press the tongue to the roof of your mouth as you're inhaling that sweet breath. Pausing and exhaling with na'u. Ooh, feeling that vibration in the unihilipili. Oh. And inhale, ume, just pause. Feel those centers vibrating. See if you can access and feel that drip all the way down the spine. As it's said that the cerebrospinal fluid moves from head to tailbone 6 times a minute. So if you can feel the sensation of your memory being collected as we went all the way down, it can mix now in the huelo, the bottom, before it comes back up into the aloha. And so what we're gonna do is just take the na'u and we're gonna go in succession. We're gonna do 3 times through, and we're gonna blend it all so that we can feel it just come all the way down. And then we're gonna come back up and then feel it all the way down. So what that will look like will be inhaling, holding at the top, and then we'll go down with and then we'll inhale, hold at top, and then go through. So we're gonna do that 3 times through, okay? And really focusing when we're moving through the na'u, really focusing the vibration and that the sound is coming from that center. Because we can do it all vocally from our throat, but we're really trying to bring the vibration from to be supported from the center, okay? So taking a nice deep inhale, filling all the way up, all the way from the bottom of the unihilipili, all the way up through uhane, all the way up through amakua, holding that breath at the top, and then exhaling with na'u. And again, inhaling all the way up. pausing, holding at the top. And again, and again, inhaling all the way up, holding at the top, and again, na'u, and nice gentle inhale and exhale, ume, just pause. Focusing on your spine. Feeling the sensation of the drip from the cervical down into the uhane as it's collecting memory, down into unihilupili, reaching the huelo, mixing and bringing all of the activations together as it's ready to aloha and resurrect back up. I'm just feeling the expansive state. And just becoming aware of the expansive feeling through that vibration and activation, just in activating Kameanui, the essential thing, the foundation, the core of ULU, of the spine in its oscillation. And then when you're feeling ready, you can go ahead and come back into space. How are we doing? How are we feeling? Good? Great. Where are we at? What would you like to do?
Mahalo. Mahalo, Sister Kelly. And this warm-up really for Ulu, Kameanui, the essential thing, we're allowing our physical body to become compatible. Okay, so now what Kelly just did is she merged her spirit with her physical body. There's a harmonization now. She's just placed herself. Okay, removed from a projection, removed from cravings, removed from elsewhere. Now the spinal cord has been placed. Then we can really go into our practice. And I'm sure you felt that too. When we were doing the na'u, we felt the vibration. It was a tuning of the spinal cord in all those regions. A tuning. You may have noticed that as Sister Kelly was taking us through this, you naturally wanted to go into ho'omola or the spiral. Okay. Now, someone asked me to explain a little bit more about ho'omola, the spiral. This is the spinal cord's one of its greatest memories. This is one of the most fundamental motions universally is the spiral. So now, and you notice that, how the spinal cord, not your brain, not the analytical, the spinal cord itself was shifting you naturally. It was remembering. It's in a place of compatibility for it to begin, really cultivating the wat-eht. Okay, this is also when we know that the kulukurut has been implemented. Once the spinal cord, the iwi kuomo, is naturally guiding us into the ho'omola, the spiral, we know that the kulukurut has been implemented. Now it's asking for it to go into wat-eht. Okay, we have that fluids built up in the huelo. Now it's time for us to heighten our practice. And that's when we do actually go into the practice of ULU. We go into rapid repetitive motions. A lot of these rapid repetitive motions include the ho'omola, the spinal cord. And in ULU, many of you have come to the actual ULU classes in the Hawaiian Islands. You know, beginning ULU, it's an hour. We do a movement for an hour nonstop. Okay, intermediate ULU, we do a movement for 3 hours non-stop. Advanced, we're in 5+ hours. 5 hours or until you kulana, until you pass out. You go into trance. Okay, that's when we know that we're in the wat-eht. The wat-eht has been accomplished. The pressure has been applied back to the pineal gland. Now you're in trance. Now you're being held in your memory. Pick and choose what you want. Pick and choose what memories are going to be most applicable to you right now. Remember, the body, the spirit doesn't want to overwhelm you. When many of us in a linear world try to accumulate data, try to accumulate memory, we go into psychosis. We go into schizophrenia. Okay, there's no harmony between the spirit and the physical body. My body, it's organic. Your body is organic. It can only take so much before it will collapse. So the kamea nui, like Sister Kelly took us through, ensuring that the body is compatible for whatever wants to come through right now. We've just placed ourselves. Okay, so mahalo. Thank you, Kelly, for that beautiful, beautiful practice and for just placing all of us. Okay, now we are over time, but I do want to answer people's questions. If you have any questions, you can either type them in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and then ask. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I was like, do you want me to read them to you now, or do you want to read them? Okay, so is there a technique you can offer to drop into trance state before sleep?
Oh, do your ULU practice before you go to sleep. And even what Sister Kelly did, the kamea nui, before you go to bed, create a ceremony around this, okay? And then make an agreement with yourself. Tell yourself that you give yourself consent to go into trance. This is a big, big lesson for all of us, is how to reaffirm authority and consent. This way, we're not overwhelmed when data comes through, when memory is resurrected. Always offer your consent.
Okay, so what did the front and back directions represent? So when you're contracting to the back, so the back of the neck, and then like when you're pushing forward in the uhane, so the back is contracting, and the same, you're accessing memory. And then when the focus of the contraction on the front is deliverance. Is it natural to feel the spiral in both directions?
Oh, absolutely. And this is one of the things about ULU, is that it's not rigid, okay? And whenever people come to ULU classes, this is a really important thing that I make, that I just point. I am simply giving you a reference point, okay? Whatever your body wants to do, do that. Do that. You're going to have to learn how to trust your body. You're going to have to learn how to honor your body. You're going to have to learn to love your body. Okay? You're going to have to learn to listen to your body. Have a dialogue. Intimacy with self. That is the main component of ALOHA MΑ, self-reflective love. Love every single aspect of you, and I promise you, disclosure will come.
The 4 vowel sounds. So if you go through the vowels as like A, E, I, O, U, but it's in the sounds of A, E, O, U. So what we what we did for the na-u for the cervical is I in the sound of E. The uhane is A in the sound of ah, so like AH. Ah is where we're accessing the heart space. And then it's U and O. So U is oo, and then O is O, OH, however you want to do that. So those were the bottom two in the Unahili Pili. Where can we learn more ULU practices?
Okay, so Kelly and I are gonna be doing this regularly. Today was a really a different kind of approach. We were just talking about the basics and the fundamental in accordance with the physiological body. But in December, Kelly and I are gonna host another actual ULU design work class. Now, design means the movement, okay? So stay tuned for that. In November, we should be advertising exactly when, what time. And you know, let me just be clear again, is that this is something that is not found. And a lot of Polynesian families do not share on these types of platforms, okay? Do not share digitally, virtually, and don't even print, because we come from a culture where we don't even have a written language. Everything must be delivered and received orally or through body movements like hula, lua. So this is really a departure, and that's why it can be a little difficult to access what we're teaching. And I'm changing that. I'm actually writing a book right now that not just covers Pu'a Ehu Ehu for medicine, but also the art and design of ULU. So thank you so much for your patience, friends, and thank you for your curiosity and interest. And I really feel like we're in a resurrection right now of this sacred knowledge. So stay tuned for that. I do want to just make a correlation too, because there has been a lot of interest in this. The word wat-eht, okay, wat-eht, alpha, omega, okay? It's the collision, all right? And that's what quantum is. It's a collision of linear points. It's when we destroy this idea of linear and we're held in a quantum, wat-eht. Now, the modern term for wat-eht is wat-eht, without the eji, okay? Wat-eht. This is significant because this is actually a big thing in Egyptian culture, wat-eht. Wat-eht is an Egyptian goddess that is depicted with the papyrus and the serpent. And both of those represent disclosure of memory. So this is, evidence that certain aspects of the Mu culture were inherited and honored and revered by the Egyptian culture. Also, wat-eht is also a name used to refer to the eye of Horus. Now, and I put this in the index, right? I even put the picture of the eye of Horus, because in the eye of Horus, it depicts the brain glands. So once again, the wat-eht, the oscillation that's being reapplied to the pineal gland for subtle human organic DMT. We go into trance. In trance, we remember. We are as a collective, we're in a field of disclosure right now. And I'm going to tell you this about disclosure. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be inconvenient. All right. It's going to be a total departure from the identities and the roles that you have subscribed to. It's going to come to the point where I'm at point zero, and that's very threatening for a lot of us. Okay. Who am I? We're going to have to allow it. You're going to have to be courageous right now. You're going to have to allow yourself to be at point zero. Okay. Only then in point zero have I removed myself from the embellishments so that I can once again remember and resource my memory as the tools for me to accomplish my activation here. I love to bring it back to Christianity, because the last word that this entity known as Jesus, okay, said on the crossing, the crossing, okay, the crossing is tetelestai. And it means it is finished. So I'm sure many of you no longer want to participate in the pathological, right? And let me just also reaffirm, friends, the world is waiting. The world's waiting for you to make your activation. Not just your other human beings, but the natural world, the plants, the species, the plasmid, the planets, the cosmos. We are a universe that must complete itself. The world is waiting. Remember, resolve your amnesia. We've just given you a very powerful tool.
Okay, so this last one, I'm not 100, Diane. You said one question, heat in spinal cord is happening, how to approach this?
Oh, well, heat in spinal
cord. And then, yeah, if you understand what that, and then the second is, can you speak more about the lineage? I'm familiar with the lineage in the First Nations that is similar.
Well, heat would denote that there's an expansion. There's an inflammation. So I would say that would suggest that you're doing the practice properly. Okay. Now, as far as my lineage, I'm not sure about this question so much, but I do want to say that, like I was saying, you know, all our lineages, we're not exclusive to one another. We all end up in the same exact place. And this is why my grandmother, Kawiki Onalani, she would always say, if you're organic, if you have DNA, you're mu. You're mu. Yeah? Good? Good.
Yeah, I think that's it for the questions that I have in the chats.
All right. Yeah. Uomu. Sister, yeah, uomu. I am. Just like Kelly was saying, when we go through the practice, unihipili, uhane, and then amakua. Unihipili, it is I am. Uhane, I am. Amakua, it is. We just simplified our entire existence here. We resolve all the identities. Okay? We understand our traits. We understand our resources. Once we accomplish the point of amakua, our highest potential, it just simply becomes it is. It's the collapse of separation. Thank you so much.
And that's what I was just going to say, and that's what I pulled earlier, was that piece is like, too, is like when this stuff, what I realized when this stuff's trying to sort itself out, it's like remembering it already is. So it's all, the system's already together. Like, remember, oh yeah, it already is. Okay, so like today, because we started with it is, and then like went down, versus like in the other one, sometimes we go up first. Yeah. So it's like, we know, just accessing.
Yeah, yeah. And friends, it's going to be clumsy. It's going to be messy. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be raw. Okay. We have to eliminate shame from the equation. That's the reason, right? That's the reason why you don't want to be exposed, why you don't want to speak up. Okay. Fear of being scrutinized, of being shamed. Okay. We're removing that. All right. We're all relatable. We all have raw and dirty. We might as well just face it. Let's just support one another. Okay. So I'm so grateful to all of you who've participated and joined. I know we've gone over, so wow, thank you so much for like staying with us. And this is what I'd love to do. Kelly, do you have anything else you would like to say before we close?
I was just typing into the group the mahalos and aloha ma'as for showing up and just being together, and we get to do this all together. So the more we all come together, the more it just gets to keep happening. So yeah. Honored.
What I'd love to do is I want to unmute everyone, and I just want everyone to have an opportunity to just share your aloha ma with your uluhoa, with your community. Okay, so I'm just going to mute everyone, and everyone can just offer your aloha ma.
Aloha ma.
Aloha ma.
Yes. Aloha ma. Mahalo. Mahalo, everyone.
Hello.
Thank
you. Thank you, brother.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo, everyone.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Sure.
Mahalo.
Ray! Hi, Alicia. Hi, sister.
Hello, brother.
Aloha, Eva.
Love you.
Aloha, brother Lloyd. Love you, brother.
I'm kidding.
Aloha.
Aloha, Ma.
Aloha.
Aloha, Ma.
Aloha.
Aloha, Auntie.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Lea.
Aloha, Jasmine. Aloha, sister. Oh, the glove action. Yeah, Jasmine. What's that all about, the glove action?
Jasmine's birthday tomorrow. I was gardening because I was like, 11:15. Oh, they're going over.
Okay. Aloha, ma.
Love you guys.
Aloha.
Happy birthday, Jasmine.
Hey, aloha, sister. Aloha. Love you, sister.
Aloha.
Aloha. Aloha, Anastasia. Aloha, sister.
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Mahalo, Eva. Mahalo.
Aloha, Auntie.
Mahalo. Mahalo. Alia. Liza. Aloha. Aloha, ma. Life.
Thank you.
Sasha.
Thank you.
Aloha, Sasha. Mwah. Aloha.
All these beautiful faces.
Kelly, that's a really healthy sense of varia behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Sensivarians. They're very like classic. They're classic.
It wanted to be presence. I drug it from somewhere.
Classic modern. Alessandra, aloha, sister from Italy, right?
From Italy, yeah, from Italy.
Oh, mahalo, mahalo. So good to see you,
Mahalo.
sister.
Mahalo, Kone.
So good to see you. Aloha.
Awesome.
All right, my friends, I'm gonna tune out now and just mahalo. I love you all. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Kelly and I are gonna, in November, next month, we'll release the date for the actual ULU workshop. So please stay tuned for that. I'd be so honored to have your company there as well. And reach out to either one of us. Email us best, okay? I know we're all connected in Instagram. DMs can be a little tedious to dialogue in, but email us any questions, any shares, however we can support you. Like I was saying, I'm well aware there's not a lot of resources for ULU. Kelly and I may be one of the only ones out there, so just resource us, okay?
Mahalo. Thank you so much for sharing so much beautiful knowledge with everyone and holding such amazing space. Like the sunshine just came back out because of us doing our work.
Oh, that's
37
awesome.
degrees here in the Pacific Northwest, and you bring the sunshine. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know everyone was inside, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna go outside, freeze my ass off, but it's
Mahalo for that. That's so
Yeah.
appreciated, seeing that nature and that sunshine now. Mahalo, sisters.
Yeah. Pacific Northwest, nothing better.
Yeah, look how beautiful that is.
Guys.
The sun. Oh, look at
Yeah.
the sky.
So
All the
clear.
eagles, all the hawks be flying over. Ancestors are with us today.
Oh, right on. Right on.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
And my friend Hachi, been with me
Oh,
the whole
hey.
time.
Hachi.
He's been doing his
Hachi.
chant.
Yeah.
Love it.
He loves you. He hears your voice on the stories and he comes running.
Oh, right on. Oh, allies. Me and Hachi, allies. Right on. Mahalo.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Mahalo, Katie, Sasha, Alessandra, again.
Mahalo.
Kiss the Italian sky for your brothers and your sisters.
Yeah.
All right, my friends.
Aloha.
Aloha.